That restaurant you've been taking your family to for years? Health inspectors found rodent droppings in the kitchen. The chain you trust for quick lunch? They're serving you frozen meals reheated and marked up 300%. The Canadian institution you thought was safe. Former employees are revealing practices that would make you walk out immediately. I spent 3 weeks investigating Canada's most popular restaurant chains, reviewing health inspection reports from multiple provinces, talking to former kitchen staff who witnessed the violations firsthand, examining Freedom of Information requests that reveal what these chains don't want you knowing. In the next 16 minutes, I'm exposing exactly which Canadian restaurant chains are cutting corners with your food, which ones have documented health violations that never made headlines, and the disturbing gap between what they advertise and what actually happens in their kitchens. By the end, you'll know which 7 chains to avoid completely, and why spending more at better restaurants isn't being bougie, it's protecting yourself from food poisoning and frozen garbage sold at restaurant prices. Let's start with a chain that shocked even me with how bad the violations were. Boston Pizza dominates hockey nights across Canada, those orange and white signs promising casual dining and sports on every screen. The reality behind those kitchens tells a very different story about what you're actually eating. Health inspection reports across multiple provinces show a pattern: temperature control violations, sanitation lapses, pest evidence. These aren't isolated incidents at one rogue franchise. These are recurring issues at Boston Pizza locations, from BC to Ontario. Former kitchen staff describe working conditions where speed crushes safety every single shift. A cook from a British Columbia location revealed that during hockey games, when orders flood in, pizzas go out half-cooked because the ovens can't keep pace. Management's solution wasn't adding oven capacity or limiting orders. It was blasting pizzas on maximum heat for less time. The cheese melts and looks right, but the center stays cold. That's not just disappointing quality, that's undercooked dough harboring bacteria and improperly heated toppings, creating foodborne illness risk. The pasta situation is pure theater. Multiple employees confirm that pasta dishes start with frozen pre-cooked pasta that gets dunked in boiling water to reheat. The sauces arrive in industrial plastic bags, get heated in hot water baths, then poured over your plate. One former manager described it as microwave dinner with plating, charging $18 for something you could make better at home from the freezer aisle. The appetizers follow identical patterns. Those wings arrive frozen in bulk. The nachos use pre-shredded cheese from massive bags that sit open in walk-in coolers for days, exposed to whatever else is in there. At $15 to $20 per entree, Boston Pizza charges sit-down restaurant prices for assembly line reheating. You're not getting cooked-to-order food, you're getting defrosted Cisco products with markup. Eastside Mario's promises Italian-American comfort food with unlimited soup and salad, the kind of place families go for affordable pasta and breadsticks. What former employees describe happening in those kitchens should make you reconsider that choice. The all-you-can-eat soup and salad bar is what one Toronto employee called a bacteria buffet. The soup sits in warmers for hours, sometimes an entire shift, while health regulations require replacing it every 4 hours. When business is slow, staff report being told to just add fresh soup on top of old. The bottom layer could be from lunch service, and they're still serving it at dinner. That's not rotation. That's contamination waiting to happen. The salad bar practices are reportedly even worse. Former employees admit that wilted lettuce gets dunked in ice water to make it look crisp again. Vegetables that should be discarded get buried at the bottom of bins, with fresh ones placed on top to hide them. The pasta is complete fiction. Everything arrives frozen or pre-made from Cisco. The homemade marinara comes in 20-liter plastic tubs. The meatballs are frozen, pre-formed, reheated in sauce. Even the garlic bread is par-baked frozen bread finished in ovens. Health inspections across Ontario and Quebec have repeatedly cited Eastside Mario's locations for improper food storage, inadequate cleaning of surfaces that contact food, employees not washing hands between tasks. Recipe Unlimited owns Eastside Mario's, along with several other chains, and the corporate ownership doesn't guarantee kitchen standards. Each franchise location operates independently, which means your experience depends entirely on who's managing that specific kitchen. At $12 to $18 for pasta that costs $3 in ingredients, you're paying restaurant prices for cafeteria execution. Montana's sells itself on smokehouse barbecue and Texas-sized portions. The promise of slow-smoked meats and authentic barbecue. Former kitchen staff reveal the smokehouse is marketing fiction, not cooking reality. A Calgary cook described the BBQ process as theater. Nothing is actually smoked on site. The ribs arrive pre-cooked and frozen in bags of liquid smoke sauce. Staff boil them in the bags to heat through, then char them on grills for appearance. That's the smokehouse method, boiling and marking. The brisket arrives pre-sliced and vacuum-sealed. The pulled pork comes already shredded in plastic tubs with sauce mixed in. Even the wings are pre-cooked frozen, just fried to reheat and crisp the skin. Temperature control is where things get dangerous. Multiple employees report that during busy periods, meat sits at room temperature on prep stations for hours because there's no cooler space and no time to rotate stock properly. An Edmonton employee said they watched chicken sit out for 3 hours during a Saturday rush. When they told management, the response was allegedly, "It's going on the grill anyway. The heat kills everything." That's not how food safety works. Bacteria produce heat-resistant toxins that survive cooking and cause illness even after the meat reaches safe temperatures. Health inspections have cited Montana's locations for staff not washing hands between tasks, kitchen surfaces with grease buildup, food stored at temperatures that allow bacterial growth. At $20 to $30 for barbecue that's been boiled in plastic bags, you're paying smokehouse prices for microwave quality. Swiss Chalet has been a Canadian tradition since 1954. That rotisserie chicken and chalet sauce, part of family dinners for generations. Even traditions end up in health inspection reports when standards slip. In October 2025, health inspectors in York Region charged a Swiss Chalet in Newmarket over pest issues. The specifics weren't disclosed publicly, but charges mean violations serious enough for legal action. Former employees describe kitchens as organized chaos where equipment failures create safety risks. An Ottawa worker said rotisserie ovens break down constantly, and instead of proper repairs, staff just cram more chickens into working ovens. They're packed so tight that some birds burn on the outside while staying raw near the bone. That's not inconsistent cooking, that's dangerous poultry handling that can cause salmonella. Tim Hortons is Canadian identity in restaurant form, the double-double, and Timbits woven into national culture. What happens behind those counters tells a story that loyal customers don't want to hear. Your donut isn't made in the store anymore. It arrives frozen from a Brantford, Ontario facility, gets thawed and finished on site. The Always Fresh slogan died when Tim Hortons abandoned in-store baking in 2003. Former employees call the back room the defrost station. But frozen pastries are just the beginning of Tim Hortons' problems. In July 2023, a Tim Hortons in Napanee, Ontario, made headlines when health inspectors discovered a rodent infestation so severe they ordered immediate closure. The inspection report, obtained through Freedom of Information, showed mouse droppings throughout food prep areas, droppings near coffee brewing equipment, evidence of rodent activity in storage rooms where baked goods were kept, gnaw marks on food packaging. Think about that. Your morning coffee might have been brewed feet away from rodent droppings. Former workers reveal what really happens with the food. Soup arrives in bags and gets heated in hot water. The chili sits in the same pot all day, sometimes 2 days. If they don't sell enough, they add new chili on top without emptying the pot first. Health Canada guidance says cooked food sitting at room temperature for more than 2 hours should be discarded. Tim Hortons allegedly keeps chili hot for days. After Restaurant Brands International acquired Tim Hortons, customers complained the coffee changed. Weaker and more bitter, Tim Hortons denied it, but former employees revealed brewing temperatures were lowered and hold times extended to reduce coffee waste and save money. At $3 to $6 for coffee and donuts, you're paying for a brand that stopped caring about quality years ago. Kelsey's markets itself as neighborhood casual dining, but health violations revealed disturbing patterns behind the Roadhouse branding. In 2023, a Kelsey's in Brampton made news when health inspectors discovered raw sewage backing up into the kitchen during dinner service. Instead of closing immediately, management allegedly told staff to keep serving while they monitored it. A whistleblower posted that floor drains overflowed with sewage splashing onto prep surfaces. The smell was terrible, but the manager allegedly said they couldn't close on Saturday night. They'd lose too much money. They kept cooking and serving for 2 hours until a customer called 311, and an inspector shut them down immediately. The restaurant stayed closed 3 days while the sewage system was repaired and the kitchen sanitized. The franchise owner was fined $25,000. Dozens of customers ate food prepared in a kitchen with active sewage contamination. Former Kelsey's employees describe routine food safety violations. A Mississauga cook said their walk-in cooler broke and stayed broken for 6 days. Management told them to move important items to the working cooler and use the warm one for everything else first. They were using ingredients stored at 15 degrees Celsius, well above safe temperatures where bacteria multiply rapidly. Multiple workers admit ground beef is often used past expiration. The practice is mixing old beef with fresh, half and half. Management called it stretching inventory. Food safety calls it using spoiled meat. A health inspection in London, Ontario, found Kelsey storing raw chicken directly above ready-to-eat salads in the cooler, allowing chicken juices to drip onto food served without cooking. That cross-contamination causes salmonella. At $15 to $25 per entree, you're gambling with food poisoning every visit. These aren't isolated incidents or bad luck at one location. These are patterns documented across multiple provinces by health inspectors, whose job is protecting public safety. When the same violations appear repeatedly at different locations of the same chain, that's systemic failure, not franchise variance. Here's what you need to know about these 7 chains. They're all cutting corners in ways that directly risk your health, from rodent infestations to sewage contamination, from expired meat to reheated frozen meals. The gap between advertising and kitchen reality is massive. Boston Pizza isn't cooking pizzas properly during rushes. Eastside Mario's is serving day-old soup and refreshed wilted lettuce. Montana's is boiling ribs in plastic bags and calling it smokehouse barbecue. Swiss Chalet's famous sauce comes from industrial bags, not secret recipes. Tim Hortons had mouse droppings near the coffee equipment. Kelsey's served customers during active sewage backup. The economic model of these chains requires cutting corners. When you're paying $18 for pasta and the food cost is $3, where does the other $15 go? Corporate overhead, franchise fees, marketing, shareholder returns, not into better ingredients or proper staffing or equipment maintenance. The staffing issue is crucial and rarely discussed. These chains operate on skeleton crews to minimize labor costs. One cook and one prep person trying to handle a full dining room during rushes. That's when corners get cut, when food sits at unsafe temperatures, when cross-contamination happens. The one chain doing things right is the Keg Steakhouse. They actually prepare food from scratch in-house. Steaks are hand-cut on site by trained butchers. The Caesar salad uses real Parmesan, not pre-shredded cheese from bags. The twice-baked potatoes are actually baked twice. Former Keg employees describe working conditions that prioritize quality over speed. They staff appropriately. They don't expect impossible output from minimal crews. They maintain standards even during peak hours. The ingredient sourcing is transparent. They use ADA Canadian beef traceable to specific suppliers. The seafood comes from reputable sources. With proper cold chain management, produce is delivered fresh multiple times per week. Yes, you'll pay $35 to $50 for an entree instead of $18 to $25 at the chains we exposed, but you're getting food prepared by properly trained staff using real ingredients in kitchens that consistently pass health inspections. When you factor in the food poisoning risk from budget chains, the disappointment of paying restaurant prices for reheated frozen meals, and the documented health violations, the Keg's pricing makes sense. The cost comparison isn't $20 versus $45. It's $20 for frozen pasta with potential contamination versus $45 for food that's actually what it claims to be. The real question is why Canadians still eat at these chains when violations are public record, because inspection reports are buried in municipal websites nobody checks. Because chains spend millions on advertising that drowns out whistleblowers, because we want to believe big brands mean safety, but franchise systems don't work that way. Each location is independently operated with different owners, different staff, different commitment to standards. The logo guarantees nothing about that specific kitchen. You can verify this yourself. Every province publishes health inspection results. Ontario has DineSafe. BC has HealthSpace. Alberta has online restaurant inspections. Search the exact address and read what inspectors found. You'll see the same chains appearing repeatedly for the same violations: temperature abuse, inadequate hand washing, pest evidence, improper storage. These aren't accidents, they're predictable results of business models that prioritize cost-cutting over safety. Your wallet votes for which restaurants succeed. Now you know which ones gamble with your health for profit margins and which one deserves your business. The chains we exposed won't change unless customers demand it by eating elsewhere. Every dollar at Boston Pizza or Tim Hortons tells them current practices are acceptable. Every meal at the Keg or independent restaurants tells the market you value quality and safety. This isn't about being a food snob or only eating expensive places. This is about not accepting rodent droppings near your coffee, not accepting sewage contamination during service, not accepting expired meat mixed with fresh to stretch inventory. These are basic minimum standards these 7 chains cannot or will not meet consistently. Hit subscribe for more investigations into where Canadians eat and spend money. Drop a comment about which chain shocked you most, or if you've experienced food poisoning at these restaurants other Canadians need to know. Share this with friends and family who still eat at these chains. They deserve to know what's happening in those kitchens before ordering their next meal. Remember, choosing where to eat isn't just about convenience or price, it's about whether you trust that kitchen with your health. These 7 chains have proven through documented violations and employee testimony they can't be trusted. Keep your standards high and your restaurant choices informed by facts, not advertising.